Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Average Joe Dividends YouTube channel. Happy Monday to everybody. If you've been following this journey, welcome back. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe so that you do not miss future videos. Also, please click the like button to help grow this channel and get the word out on dividend growth investing. Getting paid just for owning stocks. This is what dividend growth investing is all about. This is my weekly buy video. And what we're looking at right now is my taxable M1 stock brokerage account. This is just one of several accounts that I have. This accounts for about 15% of my total net worth. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the activity log here in just a second, but let's take a look at the past performance. And I don't like what M1 has done. They kind of changed their layout just a little bit, but we'll zoom out to 3 months. We can see that the markets have obviously recovered. We're not quite back to all-time highs for the total stock market quite yet. You can see this portfolio has gone down to 192, but we're currently at just looks like over 224 right now, and we had a little bit of dip here early on, but looks like we're recovering just a little bit here. So without further ado, I'll go into the activity log because we want to see the stocks that I picked for Monday. Of course, this is not investment advice. This is just what I think is a good idea to invest in at this time. We can see here I had a dividend from Pepsi. This came in actually on Saturday, and M1 has a 1-day delay for when the dividends show up. So at 13:08 is going to be part of the buys. It's going to be one of the buys in there. The other 5 are the stocks that I picked. So I'll go ahead and click on the trading here, so we'll see what those were. And we'll also see what the effect was on my portfolio, how this is going to add additional income to the portfolio. And the first stock up in the 6 purchases, Procter & Gamble, $20. So I divided it $20 for 5 positions. And then up next was Lowe's at $20, and then A.O. Smith, and then Oracle, and then Pepsi. This was a dividend drip, the 13:08, and then the last stock I chose was Starbucks. And within this portfolio, it's divided into, I have 3 different slices. I have ETFs, I have a dividend portfolio which has most of the dividend stocks in there, and I put 14 more in there. And I know a lot of people will say, Average Joe, why do you have so many positions in your portfolio? We'll go over to the holdings. And the reason is, I like to follow this as a hobby, and just let you know that the vast majority of my net worth is in ETFs like SCHD. You can see within this portfolio, SCHD is the largest position. So I have other investments over in Vanguard with VTI VU, and I even have an IRA here at M1 with VTI VU and SCHD as well. So I am very well covered and very well diversified. And again, personal finance is very personal. And to me, I'd like to invest in some of my net worth into individual stocks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a tracking sheet where I track all the positions in this portfolio. I have another tab down below called the Vanguard IRA 401k. If you're curious, you can see where all of my net worth lies, and you'll see it is mostly not in individual stocks. It is in ETFs, in Vanguard. In my 401k, it was in VTSAX over here in my T-Row 401k, but they made a change and put in FXAIX, which is just an S&P 500 fund from Fidelity. So really pretty much the same thing that I had before. They just transferred the shares over from VTSAX over to FXAIX. You can see here's the IRA over at M1 that I have as well with VU, VTI, SCHD, and you can see even more ETFs over here. So I know there's a lot of people who've been posting like, why don't you just invest in ETFs and just showing you I am very well invested in ETFs, and I think you should, before you start investing in an individual stock, you should have a huge base of ETFs and something like an S&P 500 or a U.S. total stock market fund. So I'm going to go back to the dividend portfolio tab, and this shows again all the companies I have in my portfolio, ticker symbol. Current share price just uses a simple Google Finance function, pulls the price live. Number of shares, there's a VLOOKUP table, and we're going to import some data into the M1 data tab, and it's going to change the shares and cost basis in a moment in those 6 positions where I bought additional shares in. When you see the market value, this is my cost basis. So for A.O. Smith, I am ahead in that. You can see by how much, and that also accounts with the dividend as well in my gain or loss. And I got a percent gain or loss, and this is the current quarterly dividends paid per share. So it's just a simple multiplication of the dividends per share times the number of shares. I do have a few monthly payers in here, and that is O and BST. And the position that has a variable dividend is SCHD. SCHD historically pays its largest dividend in Q4, its smallest dividend in Q1. So with the upcoming dividends going to be paid in March, I expect this to go lower, probably mid 60s if I'm lucky, high 60s. We'll see. I'm hoping for like a 67. That would be nice, or even closer to 70, but we'll see. And then moving on to, you can see the current yield percentage. If I were to buy more A.O. Smith, that's the current yield. And here's the yield on my cost. I think it's really important to track your yield on cost, because the longer you own an investment that increases its dividend over time, your yield on cost is going to go up. You can see like an Exxon is a prime example for me. Currently, if you buy more Exxon, 3.8%. Not a shabby yield percentage, but look at my yield percentage. I bought a lot of my shares, well, only 12 of them, during COVID, when Exxon was a lot lower, and you can see my gain or loss on that too. I've over doubled my money on that. But there's some positions where I'm upside down in a little bit. You can see Black Hills just a little bit, 64 cents down, and then American States Water down 44 cents. So not everything is going to be a winner in your portfolio if you have it well diversified with a bunch of stocks like I do. And then we can see the pay dates. This is how the sheet is arranged. I arrange it from oldest to newest. So we scroll down here, and we can see here's the dividends I've received so far for the month of January. I've received $46.97 already in January. And you can see one here I've highlighted for the 13th, and that's for Costco. Costco is going to be paying a special dividend. You can see the current dividend yield is 0.62%, and my yield on cost is 0.97%. But if you were to factor in that special dividend, which is $15 a share, usually what Costco does is quarterly they're paying $1.02, and of course they're going to raise that dividend in April. But $15 per share is what the special dividend is, so I'm going to get that $35.69 coming up on 1/13. And you can see here's the dividends I've actually paid, and I just fill these in, and I also do a video to recap all those dividends, and I also add in a cumulative amount for each of my positions. You can see how much it's paid, and you can see like a position like BST has paid me over $4,500 in dividends. We'll take a look at SCHD, $3,700 in dividends there. So those are my two higher payers there. And we can see I also tracked the dividend increases. I like to own stocks where they increase their dividend year over year, and we can see what those dividend increases were. I like to see those double-digit ones. Whether or not that's sustainable for decades upon decades, probably not, but I like to see the ones that are solid over time, year over year. Like a Merck is a nice 5.5%. You can see like Illinois Toolworks. That one's not, it's a lesser known, but it's a very solid performer. and increases their dividend as well. So you get stock appreciation with dividend appreciation as well. So what I'll do next is I'm going to go grab that data from M1. I'm going to start from the name column, and this is going to update my sheet. And again, it's going to update the number of shares and the cost basis. You can see the shares and the cost basis right there, those two columns. That's really the data I'm concerned about. So we'll do a quick copy, go over back to my sheet, and I have the last tab is the M1 data tab, and I'll leave a link below to this Google Docs spreadsheet. And all this does is I'm going to paste everything into this column, and it's going to line up the shares and the cost basis. And the first tab does a VLOOKUP to pull that information. Like for SCHD, it's going to pull the shares and the cost basis and so on. So it's only going to change those 6 where I had a purchase or a dividend drip. So we'll go to the first tab. And what this is going to do is going to change. It's going to change the number of shares for those 6 positions, the cost basis for those 6 positions, and it's also going to change the estimated dividend for those. So we can see with Pepsi, this was the dividend drip. I received 1308 on Saturday, but with the additional fractional I bought, the next time that Pepsi pays their dividend, if I don't buy any additional shares, I'm going to get 1317. So, very modest. It added an additional 9 cents, but I'll take it. And what it also did too is it changed, let's see, Starbucks is one of those. So now I'm up to 743 in that one. You can see last time it paid a dividend was $7.09. I probably bought a little bit in there as well, maybe before this buy. I'm not sure if the $20 did that much of an increase, but I'm going to be up to 743 for Starbucks. And what this shows down below, I'm just scrolling down the color key. We are in January, so we're in the first month of Q1, so we're in the light greens. So you can see we're the light greens right here, light green right there, and my monthly pairs are in that blue. And the variable dividends are purple. That's just SCHD really, but here you can see the total market value of the portfolio. It automatically adds that. I don't have to check M1 to get updates. Here's my cost basis. Here's my gain or loss in the portfolio. The yield percentage, this is just an average yield percentage of the entire portfolio if you were to buy shares, and this is the average yield on cost of the portfolio right now. And we can see here's the quarterly dividend. What it has to do is it takes a sum of this whole column of all these quarterly pairs, but since I have the 2 monthly pairs, which are the BST and O, I create a table over here to pull their numbers. If you look up the pull what their numbers are monthly, so I got a total there, the 461.90. They account for that much every month, and I had to add it in twice. That's why it's G69 times 2, and that comes up with the total quarterly dividend. And over here in this box, I track the cash flow average, because if you're concerned about dividends, you're concerned about cash flow. And right now this portfolio is pulling down monthly 913.55, so it's increased a little bit from, I'll show you on a tracking sheet I have. We're going to go over to that in just a second, but you can see the quarterly and the annual almost up to $11,000, just a little bit shy. So I'm going to take that 913.55, and I have a little tracking sheet, and this tracks anytime I do a deposit or a dividend drip, or if there's a dividend raise, anything like that. I put it over here. There we go. I believe it was 913.55. Let's double check. Yeah, 913.55. That's the new monthly average. And so it added an additional 19 cents of income with the $100 deposit and the Pepsi dividend drip. You can see other things I trapped. There's some dividend drips here as well. Here was last week with the deposit, and it went up 41 cents. And the reason why is there was more dividend drips, and I may have bought into companies that paid a higher dividend as well. So it's going to be variable with the $100 or what's dripping in there. You can see here's another one. It was 21 cents. And then there was a bigger one like BST. That dividend drip added $3.26 to my forward income. So I could go on and on, but I just track those. You can see it's every couple days something's increasing this monthly income. We'll go to the Dividend Tracker tab, and this tracks what the portfolio value was. I started doing these videos back in January 2021. You can see the portfolio value here is going up and up. We're well over the $200,000 mark, and I also track the dividends paid every month. You can see last month was a record $1,550, and you can see how that just trends upwards. And that's the last month of each quarter is going to pay the most. You can see we're December, March, June, September, and then December again. And then the first 2 months of the quarter are going to pay the lowest. So we'll see. I bet that January is going to pay more than October, because that was the last first month of the quarter. So October was month 1 of Q4. We can see right there, there's the dividends that have been paid so far. Tracks the quarterly dividends as well. You can see how those are going up. Q4 received $27.19. You can see there's a quarter over quarter increase over 5%. There's the dollar amount increase over the quarter on quarter. And then you can see my annual dividends for 2023 were $10,000. And then I started tracking the average monthly dividend, because you can see the dividends paid is a little bit lumpy. Again, how month 3 in the quarter pays the most. Instead, what I did was I came up with a quarterly. The total for the quarterly I divided by 3 and came up with the average monthly dividend. You can see this just keeps going up and up. And right here, you can see it really jumped. I had equity in a home I no longer owned, and I deployed that money right in here in these months. You can see these increases really jumped. You can see how my average monthly dividend income jumped. And there was a decrease here. And remember how I mentioned SCHD has a lower dividend in Q1, and they announced it in March. And SCHD did do a lower dividend, and that's why there's minus $12.40 to my average monthly dividend income. So I suspect in March of 2024 we're going to have something very similar, and then it's going to just climb after that. And we can see the month over month gains by percentage. And we're off to a slow start because I really haven't put in too much money. We'll update it. I put an additional $100, so we're up to $200 now for the month of January, since we've had 2 Mondays. You can see the annual dividend total is there, and then I've increased my annual dividend by $8.80. And again, there's the deposit. I'm counting up the total dividends paid by this portfolio also when I started tracking it. So we'll jump back real quick. Well, actually, let's go over here. It's something I track is my total net worth. I kind of went on a rant about this, how I have other investments besides my dividend portfolio, and I track that, and I keep a running total of my total net worth, which I'm up to $1.465 million. I also track the average monthly dividend as well for all my investments over $3,500. I track other things too, like my W-2 income, and subtract out expenses as well, and track a gap. So just stats like that. But I'm going to jump back over to M1 just to show you really quick and just review what those companies were, the 5 I picked. Again, not investment advice, but Procter & Gamble, Lowe's, A.O. Smith, Oracle, and Starbucks. So let me know in the comments below what you're buying this week and what you think of my picks this week. Thanks everybody for sticking to the end of this video. If you got value from this video, please click the like button. Also subscribe so that you do not miss future videos. Everybody have a great day. Everybody take care.